Welcome back to DC Wrap. I'm Pat Povletti with WisPolitics.com, and joining me this week is Tom Schreibel, Republican National Committeeman from Wisconsin, former Chief of Staff for Congressman Jim Sensenbrener, and partner at Michael Best Strategies. Tom, it's a pleasure to have you on, and did I get all your titles right?
I think you're up to speed, Pat. Thank you.
All right, so I wanted to start with the state of the presidential race here in Wisconsin, given that we're less than 7 weeks out from the November election. Now, in recent weeks, we've seen at least 6 polls, most recently a CNN poll earlier this week, that have President Trump in the mid to low 40s and trailing Joe Biden by about 5 points in Wisconsin. Now, that gap has been pretty consistent over the last couple months. So how does the president and his team chip away at that?
Well, I think, Pat, if you look at the polling 4 years ago and how the national trends tracked to compared to what the results were, um, I think that you have to use that same analysis and put some type of hedge within the poll to account for the polling data that happened. President Trump has a strong backing behind him with the people. I mean, you've driven around the state of Wisconsin. You see all the, the signs up for both. But I've never seen this type of intensity this early in a race prior to Labor Day driving around, and it's only picking up even further as we get into the final stretch here.
So let's stick with polling, and particularly Congress. It appears Democrats are going to retain the House, and Republicans will hold a narrow advantage in the Senate come next year. Now, based on that, I want to put forward a couple of scenarios that we could see in the new year. The first, and I believe you're uniquely suited to speak to this since you're recently back from the Republican National Convention in Charlotte, is that President Trump pulls off another come from behind victory like you were just speaking about and wins another 4 years in office. What does the Republican agenda look like for the next 2 years at least?
I think it's what the president's talked about is making sure the economy continues to rebound. Hopefully, at that time, post COVID. The president's constantly talking about the economy. When you look at the polls that you're talking about, people like the job that the president has done regarding the economy and moving everything forward. When I go and talk to friends and neighbors and business associates who are in manufacturing across the state, they feel good about where we're at in the economy, and they're bringing in orders, and they're really busy. But there are certain sectors of the economy that really need to come back, like retail, like entertainment. Bars and restaurants are really, really hurting out there.
I'm curious tangibly what that looks like, though, because again, going off the polling, which hasn't in the past necessarily nailed President Trump, but has been fairly accurate around Congress. If Democrats hold the House, like I said, but the Senate,
you're going to have divided government, just like we have right now. Most likely we'll have Speaker Pelosi and Leader McConnell, and hopefully we'll have President Trump. So what is that going to do? What is that going to bring us? It's probably going to bring us more of the same of a discord between the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate. You look at the discord that we have right now with Package 4, Package 5, whatever we're up to now on the relief packages for small business, and Speaker Pelosi's holding the country hostage.
So that's a scenario if Trump wins. I also want to ask if the president loses. Now, it's been pretty well documented the ways in which he's reshaped the GOP over the last 4 years. But if he's a one-term president, where does the party go from there? Does it continue down this path that the president envisions? Or is it kind of a return to some of the values that we've seen some prominent conservative critics calling for?
I think we've seen positive changes actually in the Republican Party. I mean, the party is bigger than one person. The party is bigger than Bush. The party is bigger than Trump. The party is put together by people from, the entire country. They come together multiple times a year. They talk about the positions that the party should take. In Reince Priebus, led the Republican Party when we didn't have a president. And you look what Reince was able to do to try to bring a winning, coalition together, to raise money like crazy and to really make a mark for the Republican Party. So will there be changes? You bet there's going to be changes. But are we going to take a 180-degree turn from where we're at today? I don't think so.
So in that situation, then you see the current GOP chairwoman becoming the de facto leader of the Republican Party then.
Well, I think no matter what, there'll be changes at the top. I don't know if Ronna will stay on his chair without President Trump. Generally, when there's that type of move, there's also a move in leadership at the RNC. But we got to put first things first and get past the November election before we start diving into that. We'll have a very
Lastly,
active January meeting of the RNC.
Now, lastly, I always like to close out these interviews by opening up the floor to my guests. So, what's on your mind that political insiders should be thinking about?
I just, it's a really remarkable way in which, the two parties are campaigning. We've never seen this before. The Republicans are out, RAC and CSRS are out there knocking on doors on the state level. You see the president and vice president, coming into the state, holding these rallies. And what are the Democrats doing? We're seeing very little activity on their side, whether they're just doing the Zoom calls like we're doing right now, or how they're trying to really invigorate their base. So we're in a very interesting time because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Both parties are going at it in a very unique way, and we'll see what's the right way when we get to the end.
Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.